Oh, yeah. Welcome into Colby Sapp's Mystery Shotgun. I am your host, Colby Sapp, along with Pod Racer Tim. Part of the tease, part of the everything that you've seen here besides our Cowboys talk is a little something that came across the timeline of one at My Time to Shine Hello. Oh, this
sounds like a... Oh, never mind. Continue on.
This is a scooper that I go to quite a bit. They are normally on point. Very few times do they get things wrong. And because of that, you have to take this thing not with maybe a grain of salt, but just take it with things change. And sometimes their scoops are so far ahead that they have time to change. So, but she threw this, or I say she, I think it's a she.
Oh, we don't know for sure.
We don't know anything. No. I do tell you this, for some reason, they now follow me back on Twitter.
Because you're a good follow.
So that's awesome. But they throw out there that it's a possibility and that Marvel is thinking about A-ROCK-ALYPSE.
Oh, is that what we're calling it?
That's what we're calling it.
Oh, I should have put that in the teaser.
As Apocalypse thinking about, not set in stone, but thinking about that Apocalypse could be played by one Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
So he hasn't been in Marvel before, right? He was in
DC
as Black
Adam. Yes. He hasn't been in.
Still haven't seen that.
It's not bad. They did a little wrong to one of my favorite heroes, Dr. Fate.
Okay.
Or Fate, as you want to call him. And real quick, so, because you haven't seen it, he's kind of like a Doctor Strange character.
Right.
It's real. But one of the things that he's like sees all, knows all, because he's got like a celestial being inside his head, right? Inside the helmet with him. And so he dies in the movie protecting Hawkman from dying. One of Hawkman's abilities is that he just reincarnates again. And so he doesn't actually ever die. He just comes back later and he has all his same knowledge.
I feel like I have that power.
So why would he? It just made me mad.
Right, I get it.
It just made me mad.
You have a thing about when they do the movie, they don't always stay true to the character in the comics, right?
Just do some research. Just do so.
We had that issue with the latest, one of the recent TV shows. With Echo, yeah. Right. Which because again, I don't know the character, but I like the show. And when he told me in the comics who she is and why she's called Echo,
yes,
I'm like, well, that would have been way better.
It would have been way better.
And sometimes I feel like they don't cater to the comic book nerds in these movies. They're just trying to make a good movie,
right,
for the masses, right?
Instead of but see, I can understand the changes, and we're overshooting a little bit on A-ROCK-ALYPSE, but I understand some of the changes, right? How like they turned like Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark into an actual likable character, because in the comic books he is just a yuppie punk man, right. And they turned him into a really likable character. I like what they did with Nick Fury, adding Samuel L. Jackson to that character, because Nick Fury is kind of, before that, was just kind of there.
Right.
And then as the Avengers, Nick Fury was amazing and one of the most liked characters.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Oh, I never knew he was supposed to be not likable.
He was once played by David Hasselhoff, and it was more accurate to the comic books.
In what?
In a S.H.I.E.L.D. movie made for TV.
Like in the 80s?
90s.
Really? Oh, I'd see this if the Hoff is Nick Fury.
The Hoff is Nick Fury in it.
And he's white, though.
Yes.
Nick Fury not always black?
No. In fact, right before the movies were to come out, right before they started to make Samuel, they actually changed the comics and modeled the guy in the comics after Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay, I think I've seen those. That's why I just assumed that it was the other way around.
He more looked like David Hasselhoff in the comics way back then.
Oh, I got to see this.
So.
Have the eye patch still?
Yes.
So that's a staple?
That is a staple.
Okay.
So, at any rate, some of the changes are good. Some of them are not. That was one of the changes that I didn't like, but there's a reason why this is kind of happening. And they're starting to put The Rock in with maybe things going on, is because $7 Productions, which I was touting back in the day, had this big idea about doing with DC, with, Black Adam, and then Black Adam versus Superman. And they had all these things and all these comic book lovers in there, and they were going to do it right. And then they didn't. They did it okay.
Right.
It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great as I expected it to be. They are now joining forces with Disney / the MCU. So you're going to start seeing, with $7 coming into that corporation, you're probably going to start seeing The Rock in a lot of stuff Disney based. I mean, he's already kind of there.
He's been Disney for a long time.
It's been Disney, but they're now adding the whole production company in. So they may end up giving him, a slight side of here's some superheroes to work with or something along that lines, which
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
I don't think I would, as long as Marvel, or basically Feige, goes over and goes, all right, that sucks. Stop it. Right. And they kind of keep him in line.
I feel like he would.
Yes.
Right? He didn't do that with Star Wars.
Well, because it's not not his bag.
I know.
He's Marvel over there. So did I mention that My Time to Shine Hello follows me on Twitter? I stumbled through their name.
I think you did about 17 times now.
There you go.
And then you got mad at me for not knowing who it was.
Okay, that was.
I just didn't remember the name. I remembered the account that you've talked about several times. I didn't remember the name of it. So that's why.
So, but there you go. Another thing that's happening through the world of Marvel is, and this is kind of cool, because Sony has pretty much done nothing but flop after flop after flop, except for Venom. And of course, the MCU helped Spider-Man movies. Everything else that Sony has done with their Marvel rights, where it be Morbius,
right?
Oh my God, Madam Web. They've pretty much just walked out in the middle of the field, dropped their pants, and just est on everything. To the point of, Morbius, which I thought Jared Leto was going to be because he looks like the character. I thought it was going to be awesome.
He can't do anything right.
You know what? He was not the reason why that movie sucked. The reason why that movie sucked was because so many changes happened to that movie. And they were going to make it rated R, which is going to be cool because it's a vampire movie.
Yeah.
And then right at the end, they're like, never mind, we're not. And so he still has all the slashes and him like slicing people and all that. There's just no blood.
Well, I'm okay with no blood. We don't need blood. It's implied.
No, Tim.
I'm okay with implied blood. I'm just saying.
That's not what I didn't like about it. Where the guy with razor sharp claws swipes somebody in the neck and they go, oh, and there is no blood.
Yeah, it's implied.
You're dumb.
It's just like in Deadpool Wolverine.
It was horrible.
We didn't need all the blood. We didn't need any of the blood that was in Deadpool Wolverine. It was all implied. Like, I would have been okay with just the slashing sounds and the grunts and the groans, even when they're going through the bus at the end of the movie. You don't need all the blood. It's unnecessary.
Of course you do. People bleed, Tim.
Not on screen.
Yes.
Well, they shouldn't.
You're dumb, and you should stop. Stop having ideas and thoughts. Okay,
because I'm right.
Just stop that. Marvel and the MCU and Disney basically and Sony are now working on a little bit of a merger.
Oh.
Now it's still going to be Sony's part of the universe, but they're going to merge into the MCU, which I believe is going to bring Venom over to the MCU, because used to be
that it was supposed to be Tom Hardy too, right?
That used to be that they would just lend them Spider-Man, right? And that was all they would do. It looks like now that the people that show up in Sony from here on out show up in their movies are also part of the MCU, so it'll be tied in. So they can actually use more Spider-Man because the control is both there. They can use more Spider-Man in their Spider-Man Rogues Gallery movies to work its way up to a Sinister Six movie.
Right.
So if I'm speaking, Greek to a lot of you, just know that this means that hopefully the Sony movies that have, Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery in it will get an upgrade and won't be crap because they'll actually tie into the MCU, meaning those characters, when they have any kind of crossovers or what have you, or they need that character for a Marvel movie in the MCU, they can use it because it's already there. So it's all going to be one universe.
I'm in.
This
and I always wondered why they didn't, because I know you have different studios that own different characters, like Sony with the Spider-Man thing.
Right.
And they loaned the character.
The Spider-Man specifically.
Right. Why don't you just have a joint venture between the two studios? I mean, that way, like, everybody gets credit and everybody wins. Like, to me, that's a smarter solution business-wise anyway.
It would be for actually nobody. Because when Sony has a hit movie on their side, they don't want to share that money with Disney. And Disney sure doesn't want to share when they have hits like Deadpool, Wolverine, and all that. They don't want to share too much with Sony.
So then what would the trade-off be? If we're going to loan you, or we're not getting a percentage of the gate? Like, to me, that would be the first start to negotiate was, if we're going to loan you our character for your movie, we want a percentage of the gate.
Well, here's what they're getting. Here's what Sony is getting out of this deal. With what the MCU gets out of it, what Disney gets out of it, is they get to use these characters. What Sony gets out of it is they can stop putting out crap because Feige will come over there and go like, look, this is bad. We need to fix it. Now, has everything by the way, yes, just geek to the rest of us. I appreciate that. I think I just resemble that.
No, she's pretty smart with all that stuff. So
I'm just geeking out real quick. At any rate, what'll end up happening is the characters there will be able to move over to MCU. That's what they get. But then Sony will get not putting out bad movies,
which Sony desperately needs right now.
So, but also gives their characters more of a respect by everybody else. If before, like Mysterio from the Spider-Man movies couldn't be used in anything MCU, he could only be used. So Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, could only be used in Sony's land.
Oh my God, it was so bad.
No, it was great. It was. You just don't like him. He was great as that character. But now, with the rights transferring, if they want to use Mysterio in something else, say you want to take on Daredevil or whatever like that, they can use Jake and use that character there. So that's what's going on.
All right. I don't like it.
Marvel and Sony getting along together.
A long time ago.
Which means that maybe, just maybe, you'll end up with that Tom Hardy Venom versus Todd Holland Spider-Man coming up here. Maybe the next Spider-Man.
I would rather see that Venom against Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
I would too, but with this merger, that may kill the idea of them needing more Spider-Man. That idea that was, now you'll still see Tobey Maguire and possibly Andrew Garfield coming up in Secret Wars.
Right.
I know Tobey for sure. I'm kind of hoping for Andrew Garfield because it was my favorite.
Do we still need Tobey Maguire?
That's a lot of people's favorite Spider-Man.
I feel like we didn't need Tobey Maguire when he was Spider-Man.
No, that's a lot of people's, it's the OG for a lot of people.
Worst.
You know what?
It's like Jake Gyllenhaal playing Spider-Man.
Back in the day, I wouldn't have had a problem with that. I think you could have pulled that off.
I disagree.
Maybe.
You know who could pull off Spider-Man? Tom Cruise.
No.
Yeah.
Don't want him anywhere near.
Val Kilmer.
Well, Val could pretty much do anything.
George Clooney.
No.
Yeah.
George Clooney.
Me?
No. Not a chance.
Great Spider-Man.
So there you go. There is your Colby Sapp's mystery shotgun. Hope you enjoyed it. Just hold on to your butts if you're a comic book movie fan.